A lot of signature win talk around here. Are the Bears a legit Super Bowl threat if they win this game?
They already are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, maybe I have you'd call it a bucket of teams that can win it, grouping, whatever it is.
About 16?
I think it's
or
wide.
14?
Yeah, I think it is wide open. I think there are very few teams that, like, I can obviously make the case for the Bears, but if I'm just doing the negative case for these teams, outside of the Rams, basically everyone has a flaw that I think everyone at this table would agree with. And so if that's the case, now some teams might have 2 or 3 flaws, and you might say, well, this team's flaw is bigger than another team's or whatever, but like the Bears have a great coach who's a great play caller with the #1 takeaway defense in the NFL and the #1 rushing offense since week 4 in the NFL, and a quarterback who is peaking. They won by 9, but they were a 7-point underdog, so they bullied the champs, the Eagles, on Black Friday. They played the Packers, who everybody thinks is a Super Bowl contender, down to the last play of the game, and statistically that game was very even. If they're not a contender, then who is? Because the Seahawks, their quarterback's Sam Darnold. He doesn't win big games. The Eagles, they got blown out by the Bears. The Bucks, they're 7-7. The Panthers, they're
it feels like the Bucks and Panthers are the easiest teams to neg because they have legitimately not been very good.
I mean, I would take the Bears defense over the Niners defense.
I'm not sure.
Really?
About that. Yeah.
I know. It feels like that should be the case given the names, but do you think that is effectively the case given the play this year?
I think that the Niners early, with their wins over the Rams and Seattle, like their resume on paper is better than what it's been recently. A lot of close games against bad teams. So I personally, and we're going to see it. Like next week the Bears play the Niners, so we're going to get to see if I'm right about that. But I just think there's a huge group of teams that are largely the same, and there's a real path for the Bears to be the 1 or the 2 seed in the NFC, which means you're playing January games outdoors in Chicago. Yeah, they're a threat.
No, I agree with you in that. When you look at the NFC, the only quarterback you'll definitively say he's going to outplay Caleb is Stafford. Even though Jalen's been great in big games and all that, you don't know if he's going to put up huge numbers in that game. And then you go down the line.
In a playoff game, you wouldn't give Jalen the nod?
I would feel more comfortable. I mean, he's obviously got the great resume.
Jalen hasn't always put up big numbers in playoff games.
He doesn't throw it a lot. He's effectively. I give him the, but I'm just saying, you're not going in that game like, oh, Jalen's about to go crazy, and we're not sure about Caleb. He doesn't. Like Nick's right. If it's a Super Bowl, maybe, but a regular playoff.
Yes, but
I'm not saying you don't give him a slight edge, but I'm just saying, like,
KW, if you went and looked at his playoff game log leading into those, like the playoffs,
200
the
yards,
playoffs,
220 yards,
and also. Last year, hold on. Last year in the first round and the second round, I think he threw for a combined 260 yards in those first 2 games. And then the Commanders game, he played well. In the Super Bowl, he played great. And
he played well in those games.
I'm just telling you.
Okay, but the Rams game, he outplayed Stafford, didn't he?
No, that was the Saquon game, bro. I think he threw for 120 yards.
Okay.
Josh can fact check me on it. That was
I remember feeling like he was outplaying. Maybe the numbers don't add up to it, but I remember
Super Bowl, obviously, but I think that overrides everything.
But the Eagles have played a bunch of playoff games that they have won where Jalen didn't put up big numbers.
He's not bad in those games. He just doesn't have huge numbers. But I tend to agree. Look, but the question was if they beat the Packers. If they beat the Packers, you absolutely, for those that think we're off, if they beat the Packers, you absolutely have to give them a shot.
I'm just glad you're on my side on this one.
I wouldn't pick them. Yeah. You know, I like the Rams better. I like Philadelphia still. I like better than them.
I assume you like the Packers better.
I like the Packers still better than them, even without Micah. Yeah. But it's close. Even then you got Seattle, Chicago, San Francisco. Those teams are close. So
I'm going to turn this a bit. Because I think definitively, if they win this game, particularly if they win this game with Caleb playing really well, they're a legit threat.
You guys down to do a show on Sunday if that happens?
No. And so I agree with that. But the other piece of it is this. If they lose, and again, it's a 1.5 spread, they're at home, and this is the thing Danny knows but doesn't want to speak about.
Yeah, what's the next topic?
If they lose, it's very on the board. They just don't make the playoffs. And that's the thing, if we show you the NFC North and how congested these teams are, only 2 of these teams, I don't know if we can throw it up there. I should have told you guys ahead of time. No, not that. The 3 NFC North teams with their schedules remaining. So, because it's less about this and it's more about the divisional race. Because if they lose, here's the situation we find ourselves in, where their next game is San Francisco and their final game is Detroit. A Detroit team that has the Steelers, who they're huge favorites over, and I believe the Vikings are their next game. By losing this game, the Packers, here we go. This is what I was trying to get to. If they lose this game, they're now 10-5. Dogs in San Francisco. Chicago, on the other hand, will get to 10-4-1 and have a game against Minnesota late. Green Bay will. And Detroit is a touchdown favorite against Pittsburgh. They're in Minnesota. And then they are, in my opinion, if the Bears lose this game, Week 18, Sunday Night Football, is going to be Bears hosting the Lions for the final playoff spot. And so I think it speaks to your point of how open it is, but it also speaks to, unless you are the Philadelphia Eagles, the winner of Bucs-Panthers this weekend, or the NFC West teams, meaning if you're in the NFC North, you might feel like, man, we can win the Super Bowl, and also feel like we are this close to missing the playoffs outright. And so that's why this game is such a unique spot, where whoever wins it's going to feel like we can win the Super Bowl, and whoever loses it is going to feel like we might just miss the playoffs altogether.
You think that if the Packers win, you'll think the Packers can?
I personally think the Packers are too injured.
Okay.
But I don't think Vegas thinks that. I don't think the betting public thinks that. I feel like the Micah injury is too devastating.
That's what I was going to ask you, Danny. If the Bears win, will there be a part of you that thinks would be different without Micah?
No. I mean, even if it's true, I don't care.
Okay.
Like, the amount of anticipation for this game in Soldier Field, the idea that the Bears might have a quarterback equal or superior to what the Packers have. You gave the numbers since the start of Rodgers. Since the start of Favre, first time I remember watching football, I'm 6 years old, 1992, the Bears are 16-52 against the Packers in my lifetime.
So that's really, I wonder if that shouldn't have any effect on Saturday's
It definitely
game.
has an effect.
I know, but it shouldn't.
I know.
It makes no sense that
I don't even agree that it should.
You think 16? You think that should have an effect?
I think it does. I think that. I think
the Bears hear about this.
Yeah, I think that the overall feel of a stadium and a fan base and the players who have been a part of it and the coaches who have or at least heard about it, I do think that big brother, little brother thing can go on for generations, even when there are no players from, when Favre was on the Packers, obviously. I do.
But
think
it could motivate.
It can motivate and it can turn. But I think that I feel like you can feel dread in a stadium when you're in it. And I think when the home team is the team that has always lost to the team on the road, sometimes that can have, maybe this is idiotic, but I just believe it, that it can have an impact on actual games.
The numbers are so out of whack that
Bears by double digits. Soldier Field's going to be rocking. Let's go.
Wow. Bears by double digits.
Packers
Let's go.
winning this game.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh,
wow.
No bet.
Another bet.
Yeah.
Sushi.
Patriots in Baltimore. Drake May taking the lessons from a good loss and moving forward. Well, he did. Take a listen.
Best loss in 3 decades.
Are you expecting a bounce-back game from Drake May? He did have 2 touchdowns, but in Drake May world, that's a bad.
No, it was his worst passing game of the year by a wide margin, right?
Yeah.
Not a terrible game, though.
No, he ran the ball well, but the
Second half is really bad.
yeah.
And it was his worst game of the year. Yeah, I expect Drake May to bounce back and it maybe to not be enough. Like, I think Drake May is awesome. I think he is on a path to superstardom and being in the conversation for top 5 quarterbacks. Like, I do not think this is a Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud situation. Like, I think he's just good and arrived, and he's going to be good for a long time because the things around him are only going to get better. So I think his present is bright and his future is really bright. But Baltimore's good. He's on the road, and they can lose because of their rushing.
What evidence is that? Do we have that Baltimore's good?
I think in this game, their matchup actually suggests that Baltimore will run all over New England, and it might not matter.
I got a little support for you.
Oh, let's hear it.
The graphic.
Oh, this is
Like I
Danny's
say, the
graphic.
I would love this graphic.
Is this the graphic?
This is Danny's
You
graphic.
can't
Hey,
stop
Brew.
the run anymore, Wild.
That's a cool graphic.
That is fair.
You just can't. And they got a guy in Baltimore named Derrick Henry.
And
Yeah.
God only
Backup's
knows
not
the
bad
Ravens, if they can just run Derrick Henry in a big spot, they'd never only give him 6 carries for the game, and then we all pull our hair out. Brew, I don't.
I don't look. I feel like the Ravens will win. I am not as confident in them winning as I was that Buffalo was going to beat you guys.
Oh.
I just had no doubt Buffalo was going to beat you until I saw the first, 2 quarters of the game, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, the Patriots are incredible.
Classic.
But I feel like Baltimore will win, but this is a game we've talked about, they've put together 1 or 2 good games, complete games the whole year.
Yeah, that's.
So it's on the table that they
I'm
disappoint.
shocked you like the Ravens in this spot. At what point is a team what they've been? How late into?
But I think you would have to give them, like, looking at the players on that team,
Yeah.
Lamar, there's always the possibility that he just explodes and is the early season Lamar on Sunday.
Okay, but then
Derrick
there's
Henry,
also the
they don't have
possibility
time.
that the defense goes back to being awful.
I don't think
there's
so.
no possibility.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm worried about that.
So
Because their defense again, you guys it is their culture to play good defense.
Well, they've
and
been
the
good.
second half of the season, they have played good defense. So I don't think that's on the board. I think Lamar and that offense could explode.
The Ravens, okay. The Ravens offense was not good last week. It scored 17 points against Cincinnati. They scored 24 because of the pick 6, but the offense scored 17. Lamar, when he threw, was effective, but they called 16 passes. He was sacked on a quarter of them. That's like an insane rate. That's similar to Darnold in the playoffs last year as far as being sacked on 25% of your dropbacks. The Patriots, our whole argument on this show is, are they a good team on the rise or a Super Bowl contender or the hands-down best team in the league? And that argument is held between Wilds and himself internally throughout every single show.
That is true.
Right.
I
just
come out
somewhere.
on good team on the rise. So in this spot,
But the Ravens aren't good. The Ravens, we are 14 games in.
But the thing that they do well directly exploits the thing that the Patriots do poorly. The Ravens
Did you
are a great
ever
rushing
say
team.
the Chiefs weren't good until they were eliminated?
You know,
always felt it's there.
Yes,
Let's just see if it pops.
Because the Chiefs had been the defining team of this era and been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. The Chiefs showed us last year and the year before they have an extra gear when the chips are down. The Ravens have been quite simply the opposite of that.
No, okay, the Chiefs have obviously been better the last 8 years,
Yes.
whatever. But it's not like the Ravens haven't been good.
No.
The Ravens have been great, actually, these last few years. I get it, they haven't been the Chiefs. Nobody has. But to act like you just totally writing them off like they're not a good team when you see the names on that roster?
No, again, you know that I have felt the names on the roster are a touch overrated. I think not Henry and Lamar, but I think that I don't love the receivers as much as you. I haven't loved the defensive players as much as you.
The receivers aren't great, but they're good enough.
What makes the Ravens a great regular season team, in my opinion, is they have one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks ever, and that's been the difference for them, the biggest difference. I don't think he has been good since September.
Correct.
I thought he was good last year.
Okay, so let me rephrase it. I think he had, since he came back from injury, he had a bunch of, he had the first game was good, then a stretch of bad football, and then yesterday, which was the first signs of him being back, but still was not to me, hands down Lamar's back. And the fact that he missed practice, the fact that it is still, there's still to me, the team just, it did not give me any reason to believe they are back rolling. I just think the Patriots are better.
I think Lamar, your argument, Lamar was good. Sure. he didn't look like Lamar Jackson.
No, I agree with that.
That's a better way.
I don't think a Lamar Jackson, 60% of Lamar Jackson can beat this Patriots team. But the real Lamar Jackson, I'd be very worried about.
But I'm thinking that whatever that was, 60, 65%, I think could be 80, 85% this week.
Did he play all the practices?
I mean, he's a vet. He's fine.
I don't know.
He's a vet.
But if the Patriots are a team on the rise, which is where I come out on them, like you said, the three different levels of it, and even if the Ravens are a team coming down or whatever, like they could still be on the same.
They're not.
You don't think any part of what's happened to the Patriots this year is a product of
schedule.
They've beaten bad teams, easy schedule,
all much tougher schedule for the Ravens. You know that.
Listen, this is not really about my take on the Patriots as much as it is. I am totally convinced the Ravens are mediocre. I am fully and totally convinced they're mediocre. I think
that's not even a hot take.
No,
they're a 500 team.
They're a 500 team that, by the way, lost.
A lot of their Buffalo, Kansas City,
Cincinnati and Pittsburgh
one of the best
in must-win spots.
Pittsburgh is right now a playoff team.
Right.
Detroit.
They're a playoff team because
those are four of their losses.
No, but they're a playoff team because
they've had a way tougher schedule than you guys.
I agree with that.
The reason they started 1-5, the defense was horrific. But if they didn't have that killer schedule, they wouldn't have been 1-5.
But since Lamar's been back, and since the
defense
they were
winning, he didn't play well, but they winning.
But then they lost a game they had to have to Pittsburgh. Then they followed that up, or I don't know, it was vice versa. They lost on Thanksgiving to a Bengals team with its first game back with Joe Burrow. Like I don't think the Ravens are all of a sudden a good team.
Then why are you so frightened, Wild?
Because he's worried about
the real
Lamar.
I'm very worried about the real Lamar. You know what? It's like
you should be.
I would be. If we get the Lamar at a passer rating, here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, last 5 games, bro. What's his regular season passer rating? It's like
it was the greatest in NFL history.
Last year was 190.
No, but it was
overall.
It was prior to this stretch. It was the greatest in NFL history.
Was it 120s or one?
Yeah.
No. For his career, it was like 104 point something.
47, 77, 65, 71, and then 114.
Oh.
Now, if it trends
The
up,
most recent 114.
I'd be nervous.
I'd
be nervous. If the real Lamar shows up, I'm nervous.
So preview, this is a Knicks pick for you tomorrow?
1,000%.
And this is an upset alert for you?
He usually doesn't.
I'm not. I'm rooting for the Patriots.
Okay. No, listen, I can't.
Little fear.
I'm a little bit nervous. Lamar Jackson. I respect Lamar Jackson.
Even when he's got the sniffles?
Yes.
It is December.
He's still Lamar Jackson, man. I'm nervous.
Happy Frenemies Thursday. We're just about 3 hours to kick off between what I would say the first and second ranked teams on Top 10 Tuesday, which I know is what everyone cares about, but also in the NFC. Rams are traveling to Seattle. Both teams, of course, coming off a win. Matt Stafford was asked about the biggest challenge of the short week. So obviously a lot of talk about Darnold's 4 interception game the last time, understandably, but Stafford's the MVP favorite. What are your expectations for Stafford tonight?
I think another excellent game. I mean, I just think he's been the best player in the league this year. He's having the best season. And I think that he has earned the rare distinction of where you now assume somewhere from very good to excellent week in, week out, and you are surprised when you get anything other than that. Like the Carolina game to me was surprising. Now I understand this last game because the last game against Seattle, because Darnold was so bad, it papered over a bit. That Seattle defense really did a nice job against the Rams. That's what I want to talk about. And the Rams almost scored like the minimum possible points given how many bad positions Darnold put the Seahawks defense in. But I also think Stafford understands what's at stake here. Like for a guy his age and with the wear and tear on his body, the difference between having a smooth shot to just through Atlanta and Arizona to being the 1 seed if you win tonight and a bye and 0 cold weather games the rest of the year versus losing this game, potentially starting the playoffs, on the road in Chicago or Philadelphia possibly, or Green Bay or Philadelphia, and no bye, I think he'll understand what's at stake here and play his best ball.
Yeah, I think he certainly understands what's at stake, and they virtually do lock up the division in the 1 seed if they win tonight. But you alluded to it, and I just think it's worth remembering, because this is not a Sam Darnold is on the same level as Matt Stafford point. Obviously, that is not true. Stafford would get my vote for MVP if I had one. But we remember the 4 interceptions. If we just go back and look at what Stafford actually did, it was his worst game of the year against Seattle. And Mike Macdonald might be the coach of the year. This was Stafford in that game, his fewest completions, his lowest completion percentage, and you can see the rest of the stats there. And that's not an outlier for what Mike Macdonald and Seattle's defense has been doing to quarterbacks. They have been, in the last 2 months, they've just been making quarterbacks' lives miserable. This is every quarterback that Seattle's played since that game, Week 11, or including that Week 11 game, against the Rams. No one has eaten on them. And you go back and you look at that game, it's like, all right, it was 21-19. One of the Rams' touchdowns was a 3-yard touchdown drive.
Yeah.
The other was a 25-yard touchdown drive. Darnold threw 4 interceptions, and Seattle still had a field goal attempt at the end, albeit a long one, to win the game. I just think these two teams are very, very, very close. And yes, the quarterback edge goes to the Rams, but tonight's game is in Seattle. I think this easily could be an NFC Championship preview tonight.
So I think these are teams that are the caliber of an NFC Championship preview, but I would be very nervous about Seattle if I have to go on the road in the playoffs. And so this is why, and I know
they're favored tonight. They easily could win this. They win this game, they could get the 1 seed in the NFC.
Absolutely. But if I understand, the point I'm making is, I think the Rams losing obviously would be damaging, but would not end their ability to make the Super Bowl. I think Seattle has to win in order for me to believe they can make the Super Bowl. And just as importantly, Sam Darnold cannot play poorly. So last year, he was so great all year, except for against the one team they were competing with in the division and in the playoff game. And if we show it to you, that the splits are so incredibly stark between Darnold against the team they were competing with for the division and in the playoff game and everything else.
Right.
It's worst quarterback in the league, best quarterback in the league. This year, against the two teams they're competing with for the division, and then everyone else, it's worst quarterback of the decade, best quarterback in the league. If he adds another check mark to the left-hand column there, you flatly have to believe he's about to crumble in their first playoff game, particularly because it would likely be on the road. Flip side, if he plays well, and
I would pick them against the NFC South winner in a 5-4 game on the road, but I understand.
By the way, but if they lose, they're not by any means guaranteed.
They're not guaranteed it. No, they're not guaranteed it.
And Sanford, there's a lot. San Francisco's sitting here saying we're still alive for all of this as well. By the way, if Seattle wins, San Francisco oddly controls its own destiny to be the 1 seed,
which is great,
because they play Seattle in Week 18. And so the sample size of Darnold in big spots, this is another data point on that.
This is a massive spot tonight.
Yeah, and if he loses, and more importantly than if he loses, if he plays poorly, then I am just simply taking as a given he's going to play poorly in their playoff game, which will be on the road if they lose this game. And that, to me, would suck for Seattle fans, obviously, but this is an excellent team with a very good coach, a great defense, and the best receiver in football. So what I hope happens tonight is the Rams win in a shootout that Darnold plays great in. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be super high scoring, but like 27-24, Darnold plays well, Rams win. That, to me, would make me feel like we have two legitimate contenders on the field tonight.
I'm rooting for Seattle, and that's a little bit of a Bears thing because I'd just rather if the Bears have to play the Rams for that game to be in Chicago and all of that. But also, I think you said it during Tiers this week that, like, Seattle just feels far away. And, like, I think they're a great team that's being a little under-discussed. They got outgained by the Niners in week 1. And then they have outgained their opponent, including the Rams, in every game since. They have 3 losses this year by a total of 9 points.
I get all that.
Like, they're excellent.
Okay.
They are an excellent football team.
But I agree with that. But this team, it wouldn't matter if they play on the moon or in New York City. There would be a level of skepticism around them because of their quarterback. And if he plays well tonight and meets the moment, that gets chipped away. And that, to me, is that.
It can be erased, like just chipped away, or like.
Well, no, I don't think he can fully erase it. But I think he can take a big step towards, hey, yeah, I played poorly against the Rams once this year. I played well against them the other time. Last year's last year with a different team and a different situation, and I'm a better player at this point.
All right, to Kansas City, Travis Kelce went on his New Heights podcast to talk, of course, Mahomes' injury and what's next for him, what's next for the Chiefs. So there's been a lot of discussion. I'm just curious, you follow him closer than anybody, about what the future is. Is the retool or a rebuild? What's going to happen with Kelce? What's going to happen with Mahomes? And I think almost all of them are good questions, except the Kelce piece of it. I have felt like it has been telegraphed from before training camp that this was Travis Kelce's last season. And I've been surprised that he hasn't like explicitly said.
So if he knew it, why wouldn't he have said it before the year?
Doesn't want the questions every week, distraction. I don't know, but I went back just to be sure I had the quote right, and we can put it up. This was from back in March, well before the season started. I feel like there's a responsibility in me to play out the contract that I initially signed, to give Kansas City and the Chiefs organization everything that I got, and that's what I'm going to do. If he thought he was going to play, he could have signed a contract extension before the year and not gone into the year with any sort of like lame duck contract status or any sort of questions hanging over all of it. I fully expect him to retire, even though he also very clearly can still be a productive piece of an NFL team.
Yeah, listen, I mean, he's having an underrated year. He's been one of the 3 or 4 best tight ends in football this year by almost any metric. I have felt he was leaning towards retirement but undecided. His comments in this pod made me feel like he is going to retire. The fact that he talked about how important these last 3 games are, him saying, when talking about Mahomes being back for week 1, where he says the Chiefs get him back. Now, Wild's talking about the long list of tight ends who have retired and then come back. Witten, Gronk, Jimmy Graham, held Darren Waller this year.
That was a great
I think that's noteworthy. And could I see a scenario where week 10 next year, there's rumblings, could Travis come back? Yeah, I could see that. But at this point now, expect him to retire. And it's just them, not competing for a championship this year was going to make his final season after 7 straight conference championship games and basically his entire career, they win the division and go to the playoffs, a down note. The fact that he had no reason to think his last pass from Mahomes was his last pass from Mahomes is sports cruel, but that's sports, man. Like, exactly. There's no, I mean, that
all things ends poorly or else they wouldn't end. You don't get the John Elway send-off. Like, every player doesn't get it.
I agree with that, but there is a distinction between, this team, this all going the way it was going, but Patrick not tearing his ACL, and they go into the Denver game in Week 17, those 2 guys knowing this is our last home game together. They go into the Week 18 game against the Raiders like this is our last game together, as opposed to snap injury like that. And so I don't know how much that will impact his decision. And I don't know that we are going to hear his decision the moment the season ends, but it certainly feels like he's leaning towards retirement.
Do you want him back?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, because he's
still a really good player, and I feel about him the same way I feel about Andy. Like,
As long as they want to be there.
As long as they want to be there, they should be there. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.